transition into just Boston in general, because I think the next thing is really
that sounds
the
good.
Troy Krug news, which is being rumored potentially of his
So
his rights being traded away, which is essentially,
yeah,
I think they're maybe more so looking for like a sign and trade kind of thing for
yeah.
Krug, which even though there's money's going to be an issue, Krug is going to get a good amount, if I had to guess, no matter where he goes
He's
for.
gonna get a lot of money. So it was RA from, like I mentioned, from Spit and Chicklets earlier that tweeted out 12:32 earlier today. Look for the Bruins to trade Torrey Krug's rights tomorrow to a team looking for exclusive negotiations before UFA opens on October 9th. Here's where it gets interesting. Colorado, Florida, Vegas, and Detroit are among the suitors.
Mm-hmm.
So Florida would make sense. Like we were just talking about, they need defense. But again, it's, you know, there's this whole budget thing. It's going to be an issue for a lot of teams. I see them being one of them.
Again,
So
it's
I
a
think
weird.
Detroit realistically could be the team that does it. I don't know how happy Krug
It's
would
not gonna.
be going there.
I doubt Detroit's gonna.
You never know.
It's not gonna be
Colorado doesn't
Detroit.
need any more defense. They need offense.
No, but Colorado's thinking this offseason is let's get as many pieces cheaply or a lot or whatever as we possibly can, because this is probably going to be not the last year, but the best chance for us to potentially win.
Yeah.
Because then after this year, you're going to have to make a tough decision. Which again, we'll talk about more when we talk about Colorado.
Yes.
But it's another weird thing. We talked about this last time when with the Montreal trade for what's his face. Joel Edmondson, who they then signed, where it's just weird to me when you're trading the rights of a UFA,
Right.
when you can just wait until obviously you want first dibs, and that's sake if you get his rights here, then have the rights to negotiate with them first before other teams can knock on the door. But if they're already waiving him as we're willing to trade his rights, which if you're trading his rights, I don't think you're going to be getting much in return for Troy
I was
Krug.
going to say,
Also, that then means Boston's then out of the running once free agency hits for re-signing Troy Krug, if this is true and that they're not bringing him back. Also, I think it's probably potentially a mistake to let Troy Krug go, because I do think
it's a
he's
huge mistake. It's phenomenally huge. It's unbelievable. You're probably going to lose Zdeno Chara. If you lose Torrey Krug as well, there's two of your top four pieces right there
on your defensive end. That's I don't think is too. If you lose those guys, it's not that great. I think what your top pair might. It's obviously going to be Charlie McAvoy and what Brandon Carlo.
Looking at their defense, it's Charlie McAvoy, Brandon Carlo, John Moore, Connor Clifton, Jeremy Lauzon, Matt Grzelcyk, Chara, and Krug right now. You're going to lose Chara and most likely Torrey Krug, it sounds like.
If this is true, and
that leaves you McAvoy, Carlo, Moore, Clifton, Lauzon, and Grzelcyk. So your top four would be McAvoy, Carlo, and Grzelcyk. Grzelcyk, I wouldn't include in my top four. No. Unfortunately, no offense to him. I think he's a good defenseman. I really like him as a player. He's just not top four material. Now,
I get it for Boston's sake too, not to bring back Krug just because
he's going to get a big contract.
Not be much. Their issue for Boston, just talking about Boston in general, looking just real quickly at their cap friendly, and it's more so next year that's going to be an issue because what they do goaltending, do they eventually move on from Tuukka, or do they bring him back? Because Tuukka's still obviously one of the best goalies still playing.
I'm not going to lie.
I know Boston fans at the moment
now that I think the Boston Bruins will move on from Tuukka Rask at the end of next year.
Who is their? I don't know anything really about their goaltending situation.
I don't either, but that's just my gut feeling right here and right now. I don't think they feel confident with Tuukka Rask for whatever reason. I'm not saying Tuukka Rask is a bad goalie. I love Rask. I think he's a hell of a goalie. Clearly.
I think you're probably wrong there. I think it's more so
I
Boston
would hope
Bruins.
I'm wrong.
I think you're saying more so Bruins fans feeling that way more so than the team itself. I think the team itself feels he still brings a value, and obviously he does because he's the main reason why he got to the Cup final. One of the main reasons why he went to the Cup finals last year, and why you still realistically have a good chance of being in the conference finals next year too. It's just he's then going to be 34 going on 35. Even if you don't, your backup's already Harsloff, who's already 35, and is a backup at this point. He's not a starter, or he's not really a starting. So your goalies you have at the moment are Jeremy Swayman, Daniel Vlader, Kyle Kaiser, and Maxime Lagacé, who's already 27, so I don't think he's really going to be anything. And these guys are 21, 23, and 21. They're both young.
Maxime Lagacé. Legacy, he was with Vegas. He didn't do a whole lot. He was, again, that backup role. And
he's 27, so you know what you're getting out of him.
Yeah.
Which is just at most a backup at this point. So then you got to hope that one of these guys, or if you, because isn't there a good, they don't even have their first, never mind. I was going to say if they could get a first round pick, maybe they can get, I think there's supposed to be a good young goaltender that's supposed to go early in the first round.
There is Askarov, but he's going to go top 15.
No, I was going to say if they could, they don't even have the first round pick, so they don't even have one to even
it doesn't
have
matter
it. But
now.
if they potentially traded for, say, a first round pick for, like, say, Torrey Krug, but that's not going to happen because no one's going to waste a first round pick on the rights of Torrey Krug.
No, there's no point.
I mean, the pick's probably going to be in the works if you're trading for him, but it's going to be like a middle round pick.
Yeah.
And the only reason, and I doubt it's going to, it could potentially be like it, but I doubt it's going to be like, because it's the end of the season versus the middle of the season. Because the only other person I can think of sign and trade wise, other than Kevin Hayes for the Flyers' sake, is Pajot earlier in the year. At the deadline, they traded a lot for him. Granted, he still had they were trading for him for the remaining of the rest of that year, which is only 7 games, and then the playoffs. And then they signed him for a lot.
Yeah.
6 years.
It was
6 years, $5 million average annual, which is a lot for a third. Who is going to use this third line center? It's a lot for a third line center to be getting paid. I don't think Torrey Krug is going to get. I don't think they're going to give up that much just for the rights of Torrey Krug. But if a team is that worried and wants a left D-man that badly, even though right D-man or the more valued D-man or more that teams want, I wouldn't be surprised. I think Krug has the potential of being a number 1 D-man, but he's realistically, I think, a 2 pair. But depending on the team, like if I was, I don't know how much Torrey Krug would like this, but if I was, say, Edmonton, and if maybe, say, you deal a pick, but you sign up for like a short 1 or 2 year deal, that already improves your defense dramatically. Even though it's just Torrey Krug, your defense wasn't that great to begin with, but Krug would already boost your defense up some. It gives then Darnell Nurse someone to be with. So in that sense, I could see them maybe being a suitor. I don't know who else, honestly. I would say maybe Toronto, but Boston's not trading Torrey Krug to Toronto.
Literally their arch enemy. That's like saying the Flyers would trade someone like Provorov or someone like that
to get Maxime Talbot. Or get Yager.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so here are a couple of things to keep noted for Boston. So on long-term IR, Kevon Miller, 2.5 cap hit. His contract is expiring. Retained salary the last year for doing that for Matt Bolesky, 1.9 mil. And then Dennis Seidenberg, remember him? It's the final year in his buyout history, the buyout with 1.16 mil.
Oh,
so
it's not even coming up on the cap friendly page. Like, where are you even seeing that? It's not even
yeah.
on here.
No, so I did his GM sheet a while ago before the free agency or before the all season began for these teams.
Got it.
So I still have all. I was very bored one night at work. So I put together this little Excel spreadsheet, and with basically it's just it's only the expiring contracts for UFAs and RFAs, the players I personally would keep / resign, and then what they cost right now.
I will also say this too.
Yeah.
Sorry, finish yours. Then we'll get to our kind of thinking of
so you have Torrey
Boston
Krug 5.25 mil. If the Bruins are going to re-sign him, I highly doubt it. I think he's good as gone. It would have cost him a lot, but if you're just trading away his rights, like it's predicted, it sounds like Mike said, you're not going to get a whole lot back. I
think you kind of need a good amount back too.
You would, because again, any other year, even if it's the final year in Krug's contract, you would get a crap ton back for Torrey Krug. Mm-hmm. But it's an expiring contract. You're not going to get that much. So Boston really dropped the ball.
Boston
here with
doesn't really have that much to work with cap wise. I know at the moment, if you look at the cap friendly, they say 14.4 million, but that's before the signings they have to make.
So Chara, his contract, it was 2 mil. He's good as gone. I mean, he's got to be done.
I think he might have a year left. I think he's a year left, and he's done.
I'll put it this way: I personally think he's done. If he does go a year back, it should be Boston. But I would hope so. But anyway, so then Grizzlies 1.4 mil, and then Jake DeBrusk, the money
unless
goes right there.
Unless he wants to go back to the team he started with and go back to the Islanders or the Senators.
Yeah. And then Joakim Nordstrom, 1 mil UFA right there.
Yeah, but this is the team he won with, so obviously he's going to want to stay here.
Yeah,
if he was going to come back, and if they were going to bring someone back for a cheap deal, they're going to keep being.
It would be him.
Chara brings so much to the team outside of just
besides,
himself.
He's your captain.
Because he's going to be 44 next season. He's not the same Chara, obviously, even right now. But he brings so much more. He brings that leadership. He brings all that with him. Before, I'm assuming, once he is gone, Bergeron would then get the C. I don't.
That's my best guess. Yeah,
Marchand's not getting it, and
no, he's not even an alternate captain worthy.
He was this year, but that was like one of the first years he's really gotten that.
He's not to me. He's not worthy of being an alternate captain.
I don't think he is either. And I don't really see David Krejci at this point of his career being that captain. Not that he's obviously he's got an A. And
but the other thing is he gets hurt way too much.
True, and it just Bergeron does so much for that team.
He does.
It's like at some point
he's basically just been waiting for Chara to retire just so he can get the C.
But even after that, Bergeron's 35, so once he's officially
I'll put
done,
it this way.
I don't know who gets the C. Then at that point, it may actually have to be Marchand, because no one else at that point would be worthy enough, I think, to get that C after so long. What?
Pasternak?
I could see it. I don't know how he is as leader.
Right. That's the only. I think he was an alternate this year, but then that's why I kept doing this. I'm like, Pasternak, baby. I don't know how much of a leader, like you said, Pasta is. He very well could be.
He's also only 24. You can make the same argument for Charlie McAvoy. And this is talking about a couple years from now, because Bergeron still has 2 years left in this deal. So if Chara were to retire, that's still 2 years of Bergeron being captain. And at that point, Pasternak would probably be worthy enough to be the captain, or even Charlie McAvoy would be. Who, again, at that point, which would be because their issue is not just this year, it's looking forward. I know what I said earlier was just focus on this year, right about next year later, but their window of going for it is, I think, every year is diminishing. It's going down. I think that's what the noise Jeff's making is, I think. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, I wasn't even looking at you. I didn't even have the thing open. I know exactly what you were doing. because, like I said, a lot of these guys, for the most part of when they went on their runs, even though here and there they've made it to the play or gone to the playoffs here and there and everything, they're in their 30s now. I mean, Bergeron's 32, so even he's in the latter part of his career. He's got 5 years left.
Wow.
He'll be 37 by the time that contract ends, and I doubt and the real reason why I think he's still being able to put up a lot of points is just because of Pastrnak and Bergeron and that how good that line pretty much is. But once they leave, everything else goes. And if you really look at their stats, they didn't really have that much depth scoring this year. And if anything, what we've witnessed in the past couple years of cup winning teams and teams that have gone far in the playoffs is depth is very important for teams going far and winning it all. And for the Lightning's sake, if you want to talk about the Lightning, who similar to the Bruins in that they always seem to be maybe that team that could go far and just couldn't. They were just missing a piece here and there to finally go for it. But I think Boston's missing more pieces than you realize. Yes, that first line may be the best line in hockey right now, but that's more than 50% of your offensive production comes from that line. When that happens, the rest of it, the second, third, fourth, you got three other lines that need to produce more before I'm willing to say maybe can sustain more once these guys leave. But I haven't seen anything. And yeah, Don Sweeney's needs to get some draft picks in these next couple of years because even though he probably still has that mentality, even with Bruce Cassidy, who's a very good coach and all. After a while, you're going to end up being like the Rangers, the Flyers beforehand, the Kings, the Sharks now, if you want to put them in, or the Ducks, where their window just randomly just goes
collapsed.
Away. It just collapses.
It was not just a collapse. It was a colossal collapse.
And even if you get a first round and say like the Flyers are right now, it's a 24th overall pick. That's not very great, but it's still a first round pick. They still got it. You
still need picks.
Yeah, especially these teams that are so kind of close to the cap and also just future-wise. Yes, you really want to go for it now, but you also have to look further down the road, and I just don't see it happening. I think once Bergeron's ability starts to diminish a bit, same with Marchand's, Pasternak's good, but is he able to hold his own with all of them? I know he put up a lot of points this year, but is he able to do it year after year after year?
I'll put it this way. So I don't know if this guy will be the go-to guy.
Also,
because again, Bergeron is
who didn't fit the culture that would have been great right now, who's currently in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Does it rhyme with Siler Tagan?
Those aren't words, but his name is Tyler Seguin. He's 28.
Does it rhyme with Siler Tagan?
He's only 28, mind you. He's in the prime of his career. He's making a lot of money, $9.8 million. Also, let's not forget Dougie Hamilton, who's also on the trade bait board again. Always seems to get moved every once in a while. Who's also only
wasn't 20s. He also a Bruin at one point, Mike?
He was. I know who else was, who was also in the playoffs this year and who's still very much a very good player.
Tell me.
He's 34, but Blake Wheeler. He was also a Boston Bruin.
Oh, dude, it's just I don't get why Boston.
And remember that I don't 3 picks in a year in 2015.
And you miss out on Matt Barzal, all 3 picks.
And Sebastian Aho and other guys, yeah. And you got 2 guys who haven't really panned out, and another guy he's okay. He's compared to other people
he's solid.
That drafted.
He's solid, not great, but solid.
Yeah, but
you would think absolute realistically thinking if you miss not one
exactly, but
2 first-round picks in the most stacked draft class in 2003,
probably in history, I think. I think that draft class may have been better than 03 potentially.
It probably is.
Let's just, if you want to, at that point, realistically, if you go back to it, that's 3 picks in a row, first rounds. You wouldn't have had this problem that we're talking about now if you would have done that, because these guys would have been the same age as Charlie McAvoy.
Not only that,
but the only problem would have been,
do you know how many
having to sign them?
Again, here's the other thing. Imagine if Boston actually drafted right in 2015 by getting good players. And they would have not only won last year's Stanley Cup, but they probably would have at least been 2, if not 3 cups since then.
Exactly. They would be where the Lightning are right now on paper, just one of the best teams.
Yeah.
And a team we would always say, oh, they're going to be in the Cup final. I could see it just at the beginning of the year, just that thought.
Whoops a daisies. But, Boston's going Boston.
Yeah, that's just a mindset. And know who else, if you want to keep doing this.
Oh, yeah.
This happened a very long time ago, but he is still playing. Jumbo Joe Thornton.
I was going to say it was Jumbo Joe. Yeah. Hey, by the way, was their captain when they traded him?
Yes, and also we could do the same thing when they talk about Ottawa too, because wow, the amount of talent they would have still had.
Well, we're just for funsies. We're going to do that for Ottawa too.
Yeah, but again,
I know
because Don Sweeney took over in 2015, so he.
Yeah, so Boston doesn't pick till the second round. That's a problem.
I mean, for that Dougie Hamilton trade, because he did make that trade, he did get a first and 2 second-round picks for it. None of these guys have really turned out to be anything. Jeremy Lauzon, who we just talked about, Jacob Forbacka Carlson was another guy in there, and Zach Sintian,
I know who you're talking. I can't pronounce his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, that guy, and also they got a first-round pick hilariously for Milan Lucic. Also, who else they got in that pick in that trade was Martin Jones. He was an okay goaltender.
He had his moments,
and for that pick, they got Jacob Zboril, who I don't know him. He hasn't really done anything either. That was the other pick they got in that, and those 3 picks in a row.
But I'll say this. So when Bergeron eventually retires,
my favorite one.
Can I say this one?
Yes.
A third round. Hold on. I got the giggles. A third round pick for Zach Ronaldo.
And that third round pick ended up being Kirill Ustimenko in 2017.
But a third round pick for Ronaldo?
Potentially
Yikes.
A very good, but if he's what he could potentially be, a very good tandem for the Flyers if it's Hart and Ustimenko or
I will say this though. Also, oh my God.
We can keep this going. I'm just looking at his trade. So when he did trade Martin Jones to the Sharks, he got Sean Corrali. It was Sean Corrali. And a 2016 first-round pick, which ended up being Trent Frederick.
Waste of a pick.
I mean, that was 29th overall, but, I mean, he hasn't done anything either.
Yeah. Anyway, so real quick here, though.
His mindset going into it, when he first took over Bruce Cassidy, not Don Sweeney, sorry, not Bruce Cassidy.
Yeah.
Was getting picks, and I mean, if he would have stuck to it and actually gotten, good picks out of these, this whole Bruins team would be different. But I mean,
it's not.
He just went with the culture of every other Bruins GM before, which was trade a good talent and then get nothing really in return for that.